And welcome back to this week's episode of the Cedric Black Podcast. Thank you for lending me your ear once again and for showing up and checking out this weekly podcast. And I post these episodes every Friday, so there's a new episode every Friday. And if you're a new listener, definitely check out my website, cedricblack.com, and you can find the podcast through the links there. There's a link in the navigation bar, takes you directly to the podcast. Or if you listen to podcasts on regular podcast channels or distributors, I think that's what they're called, like Spotify or Apple Music, or I think the other one is Amazon. You can find it there also. Thank you for checking me out and taking this ride with me on this journey of noise pollution. I'm continuing the series of noise in the workplace and the way that it affects us in many ways, and especially our productivity. And that's what the series has been about. So we'll continue this. And I think next episode, I may start to wrap it up. I have a couple more things that I could talk about, but I may wrap it up next episode, but we'll see. I don't want to worry about next episode until next episode comes, because who knows, there may be something else. So if I come across another article I feel like it's necessary to share, I'll bring it to the show and share it, just as I'm doing now. We've been talking about noise in the workplace. Whatever our environment is, noise is there. And it may be disruptive for some, or it may be disruptive for many, or most, or it may not bother you at all, but noise is there. But today, I wanted to talk about soundscapes. I'm using a musical term because I'm a music person. To me, when I'm talking about noise, soundscapes are, well, not what they are, but when I hear the term, I think about ambient noise. So, the background sounds that are always there. So let's just say that for this episode, for the purposes of this episode, let's just say that let's just say we're in a work environment, in an office. So just for this episode, we're just going to use an office as our example, as the guinea pig for this conversation. So those background sounds, like conversations and office equipment, and even the air conditioner. I'm in my workplace at home, but my air conditioner just stopped. So I was waiting for it to stop before I started recording this, but I know that it's going to kick back on. These sounds are from the auditory backdrop of your work environment. When I say conversations from or between colleagues, and the office equipment, like the clicking of keyboards. Some of you may still have printers and fax machines that you use. And if your office is surrounded by windows, there's distant traffic noise outside, or there may even be construction sounds going on outside the building. That's what I mean by ambient noises. Now, if the noises are at a moderate level, to some people, it may help create a more lively or a dynamic work environment. It may even make the office feel more alive or help with collaboration. It may make it feel more, I guess the term I'm looking for is collaborative, which can be motivating to some people. It makes you feel like, I'm really getting things done. I'm working, I'm getting things done, and the day is moving along and I feel accomplished. Now, if that noise is excessive, now that's a different story. If it's too loud, that's a different story. Because now we have the distractions that come in. And with distractions, that can lead to increased stress, because now you're thinking, I'm distracted. I can't never get something done because I'm distracted all the time. I feel that way at home, in my office all the time. Whenever I'm distracted, sometimes it just feels like now my whole day is messed up, and I have to find a way to get back on track. Imagine if you are in this office and you're trying to focus on like a really important detailed report that you have to finish for your boss or a department head or whatever it may be. And you have a lot of loud discussions that are happening nearby with coworkers. That's tough. If it's loud and it's right there next to you, right within earshot, where you can hear every single word they say, your concentration is ruined. And with high levels of this ambient noise, it can reduce that. This word is this cognitive performance. Your brain, it can reduce the output. It becomes harder to concentrate, and it just becomes difficult overall to complete any task that you may be working on in a efficient manner. One of the important factors about noise is the prolonged exposure to it. So how long we're exposed to this high noise levels can lead to, again, now I'm diving into the health part of that, the health issues that could arise from that, because everybody's different, I know, but if it's increased and if it's prolonged, it could definitely lead to increased stress and anxiety for some people. High blood pressure is common. Difficulty sleeping. If you can't sleep, like myself, and a lot of times I do have difficulty sleeping, and the next day I'm feeling fatigued. I'm just dragging along because I didn't get enough sleep, and that can happen. I mentioned that I was a music person, and we all know this by now. And what I like about office environments is that, and I've seen a lot of this in the past, and now that music is becoming more frequent in office environments. It's controlled. I don't know where it's controlled. Some places control it within the office themselves, or you may have your own work area where you're playing music, but music is becoming more frequent now in the workplace because it can influence our emotions and our behavior, just like any other piece of music does. Outside of the workplace, it has an influence on how we feel and how we act or react. The right type of music can enhance our mood. It can enhance your mood or boost that motivation or give you the motivation that you need to complete something. And what I'm trying to say is that it can improve your productivity. So, for example, upbeat music with a fast tempo, that can increase energy levels and help employees feel more alert. I used to watch those cardio videos, and in the workplace, it can be beneficial for certain tasks that you work on that are pretty boring. But if you have that upbeat music, the upbeat tempo, it could help pass that time along. Now, on the other hand, you have that soothing music or classical music that usually helps reduce stress because it creates a calm atmosphere. Now, that can be perfect for a project that requires deep concentration. It requires you to be focused. You're working on something and you can't have any distractions. You just have to be zoned in. Now, having music in the workplace, me personally, since I'm a music person, I find it beneficial because it just has positive effects for me personally. And for many people, music can help stimulate creative thinking. And if it's something repetitive or routine that you're working on, try listening to something upbeat. Certain rhythms of music can help me get into a flow state and help me work effectively. It always does. I mean, I guess it depends on what I'm working on, but since I create music, I don't create it to work. I create it as my work. But when I'm not creating music and I'm working on other things that I do, I'm listening to music and I'm finding the right music to help me be productive. I already have a specific playlist for certain moods that I need to be productive. But in an office, you'll always have some challenges because there's other people involved. Because not everyone finds music helpful. We have personal preferences that play a huge role in whether music is a motivator or whether music is a distractor. Some people might find background music distracting, especially if it has lyrics. I know I do, because if it has lyrics, I'll get caught up in listening to what the person is saying, whether they're speaking it or singing it. And if it has a fast tempo, that's something else that competes for my attention. You have to find what works best for you. And as an employee, you have to find out what works best for your team. Well, as an employer, you have to find out what works best for them. Because some people may thrive with music while others may prefer instrumental music or nature sounds. It just boils down to just talking with your office staff or speaking with your team to try to find a good, healthy working balance for everybody. I would say that a bigger number or bigger percentage, well, I'm not what I would say because I read this. There's a survey it was called Account Temps, and they found that 71% of professionals enjoy listening to music at work. But if you have a smaller minority that don't listen, that don't enjoy that, talking with them to create that healthy balance to where it works for everyone. That conversation, just getting that conversation going, you can find a way to have it balanced for everyone. I know that you probably can't do it 50-50, but it's worth the shot because we're talking about productivity at work. If music is something that enhances productivity, why not use it? But if it's something that's distracting, that has a negative effect on productivity, just find a way to work with it. And one thing that you can do is create zones where music is played openly, and in other areas could be quiet. Now that could allow employees to choose their work environment based on the things that they work on. If they're working on something that requires focus, maybe they can move to an area where there's no music playing, where they can be zoned in and be focused. So another thing that can be done is to have curated work music, like a playlist to play for, well, a playlist that has different types of music for different types of work. For example, an upbeat playlist for more energetic tasks could be available, and also you can have a more calming playlist for focus work. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned, that's probably the biggest key of all is the volume. And that's, even though it's overlooked, but volume plays a big role in that, because you can ensure that the volume of the music is shared in shared spaces, is kept at a level that's not disruptive to people who prefer quieter environments. Even though I like music in the background, even if the volume is low, my ears will adapt to it, and I'll still hear it. But if it's too loud, even though my ears will adapt to it, now it's prolonged, and it could become distracting to me. If you're at a store, if you've ever, well, all of us have been in parking lots, when someone's car alarm goes off. Now, if it's at a distance, if it's all the way across the other side of the parking lot and we hear it, it's a little low. The volume of it is low. It doesn't really bother us as much. We notice it, but it doesn't bother us as much, or it doesn't bother me as much. But if I'm closer to it, now the volume is louder, and it's prolonged. Not only is it a distraction, it's an irritation as well. Now it's going to affect my mood. Now I'm bothered by it. Now I can't focus on what I'm trying to focus on. Even just say, for example, if I was reading a book, my concentration is broken. Now the piece that I was having is no longer there. Now I can't read my book. I won't read it. So we know that music is a great tool for improving the work environment, but it's essential to consider individual preferences and the nature of the task that's being performed. What can companies do? What can you do as an employer? Do you have any music policies? I mean, if not, maybe there's something that can be looked into. Now, since I've been talking about music, why not talk about the opposite? Talk about silence. The silence I believe, is often undervalued, but it can be just as powerful, because silence allows for mental clarity. So when we have a quiet environment, our brains can process information a lot better than with all the background noise, all the distractions going on. Also, the silence gives our brain that auditory break that we need from that constant stimulation, or the constant need to filter out sounds, and it can help reduce the stress. People always say, oh, I need some peace and quiet. Let me get away. I just need a break from all the noise. That's what it is. That's what that silence is there for. That's what it does. Silence also has a positive impact on our mental health, because continuous noise can lead to stress. We know this, but the quiet moments can help counteract that and reduce that stress, or reduce any anxiety that could be lingering. And in fact, there's many studies that have shown that silence can lead to growth in new brain cells in the mind. And I wrote this word down. I may not even be pronouncing it correctly, but I wrote it down. Hippocampus. I think that's the way that it's pronounced. is written as hippocampus, so it's hippocampus. Maybe that's it, but that's a area of the brain that's associated with memory and emotion and the way we learn. And so silence can lead to growth in that area. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. That's definitely a new term for me. In spite of the benefits that we can get from silence, achieving silence in the workplace is the challenge. How can this be done? But like I've been saying, those quiet zones, those specific areas in the office where silence is maintained, that's one way. You can have quiet hours. If you're a policymaker, how about implement quiet hours during certain times of the day when noise levels are kept to a minimum? And there's always my number one go-to is the noise canceling headphones or the earplugs. You can also create spaces where employees can practice mindful and relaxation techniques. Everyone won't be into that, but one person may be. And even if you make it available, it may catch on because these could be areas that's designed to be quiet and peaceful. Now, I know you're probably thinking that if you're an employer, this is the place for work. This is not a place for relaxation or meditating or anything like that. But those are things that can help with the work environment. Those are things that can be done or things that you can do to help the productivity of your team. It's really important to have a balanced auditory environment. But the key to a productive and healthy workplace is that balance. We all hear differently. Our ears are different. That's why probably a mix of ambient noise, music, and silence. You won't hit everyone all the time, but if we mix it up, just like having a mix of music. So if you mix up the environment, now people have options. It's a controlled environment that you can have that can maximize the comfort and the productivity for all the employees. It's just creating that balance. We just talked about things that can be done, like those quiet zones. If you have a music policy that you can implement, if you don't, you can be more flexible and you can allow employees to use headphones to listen to their own music. Just open up communication with your team. That open dialogue about noise preferences and issues could really be refreshing for a lot of people because a lot of offices don't have those conversations with the team. So get feedback. Open up some dialogue and get some feedback. I'll bet you a lot of people will be more than willing to share that feedback with you, with their jobs or with their office. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about these different types of sounds in the workplace, ambient noise, music, and silence, because all of these sounds, even silence is a sound. All of these sounds can impact our mood. They impact our motivation, and they impact our productivity in the workplace. And as we understand the psychology that's connected to the workplace soundscapes, it could help you create environments that enhance the focus of your employees, can help them reduce stress and overall boost their well-being. So the main things we can remember when it comes to the ambient noise, just the moderate levels can make the workplace feel lively, but too much can be distracting and stressful. We have to find a way to manage that and balance that. And we were talking about silence. Silence provides that mental clarity and it reduces stress. Really look into creating opportunities to have quiet moments, because it's crucial, and it's crucial for our brain performance and mental health. I was talking about balancing that mix of ambient noise and music and silence that could lead to better work performance. So thanks for joining me on this journey. This was a journey of the psychology of workplace soundscapes. Hopefully you found this episode insightful. And if you did, please share it with your colleagues, co-workers, your friends. Let's continue to spread the word about the importance of a balanced auditory environment in the workplace. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll continue this deep dive into all the topics that relate to noise pollution and its impact on our daily lives. See you next time.